And meanwhile, Israel says it has hit security headquarters across Tehran as its airstrikes continue in Iran. Israel is also hitting Lebanon as the bombing campaign continues to escalate. The US-based human rights activist news agency says at least 1,097 civilians have been killed in Iran since the US-Israeli attacks began on Saturday. On Tuesday, an Iranian drone hit the US consulate in Dubai, while an Iranian missile hit a US base in Qatar. An Iranian Navy ship is sinking near Sri Lanka, with sailors being rescued. The cause is not known. Meanwhile, the UK has confirmed details of a repatriation flight from Oman. Right, for more details on all of this development, let's bring in senior reporter, TVC Moyo Thomas, who joins us from the nation's capital. Moyo, let's begin with the embassy in Abuja. We understand that visa appointments have been rescheduled because of the likelihood of protests. Just give us more details on that.
Okay, so the U.S. Embassy this morning made a statement on their social media handles about the suspension of visa interviews because of the news they heard about a planned protest. And they know that the U.S. citizens could easily be a target. So that warning came on the background of that. And also, it's also from the activities of what has been happening in the last 2 days, there's been protests in the northern part of Nigeria. So I think the intelligence they gathered is that this could move into the federal capital. So to be on the safe side, they had to bring out that warning.
Do they have any sort of idea, the group of persons who might be planning to protest, whether it's in favor of the U.S. or of Iran?
So there's been protests for Iran against U.S. and Israel in the northern part. And so it's just easy for them to assume that the protest is definitely going to be against U.S. and Israel. And earlier today, too, I also had an interview with the Israeli ambassador who says that the target has been against Israel and U.S.
And do we know that in the Middle East, for example, some of those embassies have been evacuated? That's the U.S. embassy. Do we know if they plan to do the same thing here or they are under security watch at the moment?
I'm not sure the security situation in Nigeria will get to the point where they would have to close down or evacuate. We don't pray that we get to that point, and there are no indications as at this moment that it is going to get to that point. That is a high-level meltdown of security that will make an embassy to close down and evacuate. We don't see such happening because definitely there is the link between Nigeria and the Shiite part of, between Iran and the Shiite part of Nigeria isn't strong enough to warrant that kind of fear at the moment.
Interesting point you made there, Moyo. But let's now talk about how the federal government is reacting. Any latest development coming from the minister? We know that federal government is saying, look, there should be a de-escalation. But what more are they saying as the situation, progresses or the development progresses?
So what we heard from just like the statement, you mentioned the statements the Nigerian government made earlier on the de-escalation to ensure, to avoid the region going into war, the entire region going into war. Nigeria is also concerned about the citizens, but as of this moment, from what NIDCOM had also put out, there are no Nigerians from Iran or the Axis calling for evacuation. So I know Nigeria is probably waiting to, in case there are the Nigerians in any of the crossfire, they don't want Nigerians caught in the crossfire, they would be ready to evacuate if the need be. But as at this moment, the only information is the statement that came out to say that Nigeria does not want war in the Middle East.
And just before we let you go, Moyo, but just in case there is a Nigerian, because again, that's a very important point you raised about people who might want to evacuate. Just in case that arises, are there contingency plans already in place to ensure that Nigeria can move into a swift action if Nigerians are saying, look, we want to return to Nigeria?
So I won't be able to say specifically the plans Nigeria would have, but if I'm to draw any conclusion from what has happened in the past, Ukraine and some other countries that we've had, this Sudan, where Nigerians were evacuated. I know that Nigeria made plans and they were evacuated. But if we look at the peculiarity of what is going on now, where planes are not advised to fly over certain countries, that might make evacuation a tough call. But at the same time, the lives of Nigerians are precious and important. And so I'm sure Nigeria may definitely make arrangements to ensure they will evacuate them if the need be, deriving that from what had happened in the past. But at this moment, we know that no Nigerian has requested to be evacuated.
Thank you so much, Moyo. We know that you have your eyes on this development and you bring us updates as you have them. Foreign Affairs reporter Moyo Thomas live for us in the nation's capital. Thank you, Moyo.